Hi, everyone. Who here has set a goal before? I love it. Goal setters in the room. As you heard, when I was 19 years old, I had set a goal to sell $100,000 in real estate. I just moved across the country. I was knowing nobody except college students and other professors. I remember when I set this goal, I didn't really know why I was working towards it, but I know now that it was the start of this journey that I'm here today. I'm going to talk to you today about how to work towards feeling confident to pursue a life that feels fulfilled, starting exactly where you are. In order to live a fulfilled life, we have to identify joy trends and understand our why. Anyone wondering what a joy trend is? You should be, because I made up the word. It's something that you can identify throughout your life that sparks joy and passion and brings you excitement. I played lacrosse for a majority of my life. I started before high school, but by the time I was in high school, the thought of getting a scholarship was something that was talked about a lot. I spent every weekend playing on fields, training. I was traveling across the country. I was mentoring new teammates, and I became captain. When I finally achieved that lacrosse scholarship, I was so excited. It was the thing I had been working towards for so long. So I moved from California to Michigan, knowing absolutely nobody, and I came out, and after my first year, I was reflecting on it, and I actually didn't like it. I was so disappointed. I was like, what the heck? This is what I had been working towards for so long. Why am I not feeling aligned? Why am I feeling disappointed? This is the big thing, right? Later on, what I was able to realize from that was that it wasn't the sport that I was so in love with. It was the community that I had built with my teammates and my roles in leadership. And that's the joy trend that I'm sharing with you today. Those were my joy trends. So if you look back on different things in your life and you think about what you actually liked about those activities, that would help you identify those things. Once you can identify those joy trends and you think about the goals you set, you can begin to identify what your true why is. Your perceived why might not be your true passion, and that's what that lacrosse story taught me. It was something that I really enjoyed for so many years, but it wasn't the sport itself. It was the community and the leadership. So for you, if you're someone who has set a goal of working towards a promotion, let's say, what is it about that promotion that was exciting to you? Was it the thought of a higher paycheck? I would challenge you to think about that paycheck and what it would do for your life. Because the reality is, when we set goals, a lot of the times we're actually going after something that sounds good on paper, and we're not challenging ourselves to think about the impact that it's having on our life. If you're a student and you're looking to grow your social media following, or an adult looking to grow your social media following, it might be the fact that you want to share your story with others and help them through something that you've previously experienced or that you're currently going through. I hope that something on here will resonate with you and start to make you think about the why behind the goals you're setting. Once you understand that why, we can understand how to start living fulfilled. Because if we don't understand our why, we can't live fulfilled. Once we know that, we can set one goal 5 to 10 years in the future to work towards. I want you guys to think about your life. Think 10 years in the future, whatever that may be, doesn't matter what age you are. And think about, what's the house that you want to be living in? What kind of car do you want to be driving? Who do you want to share your meals with? And get specific on that ideal life. Think about your time. How are you spending it? Are you going to work? How many hours are you going to work? What kind of work are you doing? What feels good? And don't let anything feel too far out of reach, because 10 years in the future, your life can look completely different than it does today. So think 5 to 10 years in advance, and then pick one goal that's in alignment with that life, not something that just sounds good on paper or something that you think others will determine you are successful for achieving. I learned this lesson the hard way, unfortunately. After working so hard in real estate to hit that $100,000 goal that you heard about earlier, I thought the next thing that I had to work towards was opening an office and running a team. You can see here I created a team. That was my building that I renovated and opened a real estate brokerage. This grand opening picture that you see here was about a year, 6 to 8 months after I had opened the office, and I was pregnant with twins in that photo for our official grand opening. Shortly after having my twins, I realized that opening that brokerage and leading that team wasn't really in alignment with the life that I was dreaming of. The life that I was dreaming of was having freedom of time for my kids, to be present for my family. And what I realized was, by starting that team and opening that office, I was making myself available to more people, more hours, and more problems. Now, that lifestyle is great for a lot of people, and I set that goal because the people that I looked up to in the industry, that's what they had done. But I never thought about what impact it would have on my life. I realized that what I was doing, I was chasing a title and the others' expectations of me, or what I thought others would think of me in high regard, instead of for the value that that goal would have on my life and the impact it would have on my legacy. Once you can identify that ideal life, you can start taking action to live it today. And in order to start building real confidence to take action, you have to be brave enough to be real and to be honest with yourself and with others. Does anyone know what these 6 people have in common? They've all chosen to be authentic and vulnerable. They've shared their stories in a vulnerable state when they didn't know how people would respond necessarily. And because of that, they made thousands and millions not feel alone. Dax Shepard has spoke openly about his struggles with addiction. Taylor Swift, relationship struggles and her journeys in relationships. Jay Shetty has shared the messy middle and the progress that he's made along the way. He doesn't pretend to have it all together. Oprah has shared about trauma. Steve Jobs has shared about being fired publicly. And Brené Brown on vulnerability and shame. All of these icons have chosen to use their platform to share vulnerably. And because of that, they are the legends and the icons and the mavericks that we think so highly of. It's not because they did it because they knew what they were doing and they were perfect. They did it because they were able to share vulnerably. When you authentically live in alignment with who you really are, that's when fulfillment begins. Hopefully now you can understand the importance of being vulnerable, and that takes us to our environment. Our environment, or our community, really has a huge impact on our mindset, our goals, and our resources. The people that you're around will impact how you're thinking. How you're thinking will determine what you feel is possible, and what you feel is possible will impact the resources that you're working towards and spending your time on. When I set that goal to make $100,000 in real estate, I made a vision board. I had it in my living room, and I had someone over from school, and when they saw that vision board, I was met with a lot of judgment. There was a lot of doubt in my mind after that conversation, saying, can I really do this? Why am I working towards this? A few months later, I chose to share that same goal with coworkers and people that had a much similar mindset to me. When I did that, they responded not only with encouragement, but they challenged me to think bigger, to think about the impact it would have on my life and how much more I could do and what the positive impact of achieving that would have. Through that experience, what I really learned was that our environment can be the difference between staying stuck and living fulfilled. It's so important to think about the people that we're around because it impacts so much more than just our community. To start pursuing a fulfilled life today, you need to do 2 things. The first is the clarity of the vision, which I'm hoping you guys have started to get. And the second is you need to have the courage to take bold action. You don't have to feel ready. A year ago, I opened a coffee shop. I had no food and beverage experience, and quite frankly, I had 3 kids under the age of 16 months at the time. As you heard, I now have 4 under 3. So time wasn't my strong suit either. But what I had was a passion for community. And I started to think about, what legacy do I want to leave? What kind of life do I want my kids to see me living? What I realized through that was that I had clarity on my long-term vision. It included freedom of time and passive income. I wasn't thinking so specifically about how I got there, but I was thinking about the lifestyle I wanted to live. Because of that, when the opportunity presented itself, I no longer had the real estate brokerage, and I had a beautiful building I had just renovated in a tiny village of less than 400 people. I decided that the community needed a space to gather. The only other restaurant or place to meet someone was a pizza place. So I thought, why not make a coffee shop? It's not that I had it all figured out. It wasn't that I knew exactly what I was doing, but I just had the courage to start taking one step towards that life that I was dreaming of. The best way to gain experience is to start exactly where you are. In the last year of running that coffee shop, I have learned so many lessons. It didn't matter how many books I read. There was real life experience that I had to go through to figure it out. I've realized through that as a person who's pursuing a life that is in alignment with what I really want, those hardships and those struggles that come towards us when we're not expecting it feel so much more manageable if we're in alignment and we're clear on what our vision is for our long-term goals. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to begin. I'm hoping that today, this is the message you needed to begin working towards a goal you've been thinking about, but you thought felt out of reach. Don't wait until you feel ready. You can read all the books, you can find mentors, those are great things to do, but feel confident in who you are and the person that you will become in the journey of achieving that. Mavericks don't wait for permission. Icons don't blend in. And geniuses don't play small. You can be learning and confident at the same time. When I got my real estate license at just 19 years old, I had no experience in real estate. I didn't even know anything about the state. But I was confident in myself, and I learned along the way. When I had twins, I had no idea how to be a parent. But believe it or not, you just figure it out as you go. There's not always a handbook, and even if there is, it might not work for you. So think about that lifestyle that you really want and take bold action towards that. Be the maverick, trust the genius, become the icon. Thank you.